Hello, everybody. It's Justin Case of American Newscape, rejoining our friend and media personality, Jerry Maldonado, back for another installment of Meatball Perspectives. Hello, Jerry. What perspective you got for us today?
Hey, what say you? Hello, Mr. Meatball.
Well,
In honor
hey.
of our 95-degree heat up here in the Northeast, I beckon my orange. I have to. I mean, I didn't even step out of the house, man. I got home and I was at AC on, full blast. But I loved our pre-show. We just wouldn't shut up. I'm like, wow.
No, we would.
We just kept talking. Yeah, 10 minutes later. But yeah, we talked a lot. You know, what say me is belief. I mean, I had a show the other night with Facebook, and I was featuring the Frenchman Voltaire, or Voltaire, if you want to call it that. He said the most important decision we should make in life is to be in a good mood. How can you be in a good mood? And you and I were talking about how can you be in a good mood when there's so much stuff going on in your life? And here I am. I had featured that mood thing the other night, and that was a segment part. But being in a good mood affects your belief system as a whole. And I can attest to that being in my situation here at hitting almost 60 years young here on America's New Escape. And 15 years ago, at the ripe old age of 45, on this National Start Over Day, I had to start over. And the biggest problem with starting over is you get punched in the stomach. And we had talked about this with situations in our life. We get punched in the stomach, knocked down, and our belief system kicks in and tells us we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, look how old you are. There's a lot of people going through that now with life changes later on in life. And I can tell you wholeheartedly, there is light at the end of the tunnel. But you have to work on your belief system. You have to rewire what has been wired for so long, that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough. Why am I starting over right now? Why is all this happening to me? Point being is, it doesn't matter how it happened. Your belief system will make you and or break you. It's your chemical factory on your physical level that creates the dopamine and all these happy little drugs that get created in the body. The more you focus on your belief system, for a lot of you guys that are starting over, the better off you're going to be. And I'm going to go against the coin on this one there, Meatball. What saved me, and I'll let you jack in. I'll let you speak for a little bit. What saved me back then was constantly and repetitiously installing inspiration and motivation into my mind on a constant level. Here I am, walking the highways looking for jobs. I mean, I literally lost everything. We've all heard the story. I've said it here many times at American Newscape and America's Mentor. Lost everything, but what kept me afloat was what Voltaire said. The most important decision is being in a good mood. I had to keep my mood strong. I had to keep my belief in myself strong, because when you get knocked down and there's nothing there and there's no one there, you have only but yourself. And what you face in yourself, you're going to face in your reality. What say you?
Well, a couple things. A little bit of feedback there, but a couple things. Happiness to me is perspective. If I catch myself not finding happiness in the moment, I'll do whatever I can to change the perspective. And in solving the belief, what to believe in for myself, and maybe it was inherent, maybe I was born with it, maybe it was a lazy way to be. I believed in myself, always, no matter how high, no matter how low. I knew that if I was going to win the day, it was going to be all about me. And if I found myself in the swamps, it was going to be all about me. So I guess I took ownership and didn't even recognize it. But that's what I believed in.
Great point. Now, how did you learn that?
I don't know. had it from a little, it wasn't some Frenchy Voltairean dude from France. It was,
Was it an
I don't know.
installment? Was it an installment when you were younger? Was it family upbringing? These are questions that people ask me when I
I
ask,
don't know.
you know,
I can't. I grew up in a German household where you didn't get a gold star, you didn't get a pat on the back, which you were told this is your responsibility. Going
hmm.
to school is your responsibility. Cleaning the desert, which for those that haven't done that, you get a tear in your eye because you only can do it in the summertime. But it's what you did. So that was instilled in me.
Hmm.
This is not open for discussion. So everything fell back on me. And maybe that was an upbringing. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the responsibility aspect is also the sense of achievement. There you go. I push that on my daughter all the time. Keep going to work, keep pushing forward. That sense of achievement feels good in the heart. It really enhances your mood. My perspective was the complete opposite. That this is a great point. You were pre-wired to succeed. Your mindset was pre-wired, however way it was, to succeed in your endeavors later on in life. Whereas myself, I believed in it vast backwards. I believed I had to work hard to feel better in life. But the problem is, if your belief system, and this is a great point for people that are having to start over, if you're having to start over and your belief system is in the toilet, it's basically always been in the toilet. You're just manifesting the reflection eventually of what you thought about all your life about yourself. It's just taken a long time to come to the reality, your 3D reality through your repetitious thinking. What changed it for me, like I said before, was the motivation and inspiration, was revamping the system, was rewiring. Like you said before we got on the air, you had to boot up. You need time to boot up, let the system warm up and get whatever it has to do. Our mind are the same way. I mean, don't think that because something has happened, that's the end of the story. No, what has happened was your reflection of a story you've been telling yourself. And that's what I did all my life. I had all these successes, television, back then, the day owning a business, I lost everything because it eventually caught up to me that I never really believed in myself back then. I never really believed, I was always afraid of, this is the paradox. Here I am, achieving all this, and the family, and the white picket fence, and all these things in my life, but it's that past that catches up with you. It's that unbelief in yourself, and that was my upbringing, in the upbringing I had. Never good enough, never smart enough, and I took it like a sponge. So I figured I'd fight against it, so you're having this inner civil war going back and forth, working hard, achieving this little monicum of success, but eventually self-sabotaging yourself to fail at it.
Well, and of course I do that too, but I don't, I think I was probably brought up to ride the roller coaster, prepared me for
Ah,
the good and the bad.
yes. Yeah. Germans are tough,
Because,
man.
well, it was that old no gold star.
Yeah.
This is, and given a lot of leash.
Hmm.
If I said, hey, I want to try this, they'd say, well, have you thought it out? And I'd go, well, yeah, I have. And I'd go and try it, and then it would fail miserably. And then we talk about it after the fact. They knew it was going to fail.
Mm. Yeah, I was trained by a German pastry chef, and these guys don't play.
No,
He took me under his wing. He spoke as a Deutscher all the time. I don't understand what the hell he was saying, but I just watched him. And their ethics and their routines are like mechanics. I mean, they're literally
yeah.
they're like robots, and it's fantastic if you're really into that kind of field in life. And for a German pastry chef, he was back in Nazi Germany days. He was brought up, and the apprenticeship just to be in the field was 6 years to be a pastry chef. Then they might have thought about it. You know what I mean? People give themselves a week and then they give up. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
This is a perspective
Well,
that I love it. You got two sides of the coin here. You were pre-installed. I had to reinstall.
right. Well, I've had to adapt. I don't have my don't have mentors to help knock me down a peg when I get too far out in front of my skis, but I've learned how to recognize that most of the time.
Mm.
But this idea that we don't fail, we do fail. I mean, and the idea that you and I are talking during the pre-show, it's not about catching up. It's about getting the cognitive thoughts going, getting the mind wrapped up, getting us both in the proper frame of mind to do the show.
Every bit, yeah. Every bit of this effort that we do every day is an inside job. And
Yeah.
that was the epiphany for me. That was the realization of why things were happening. It wasn't the outside world that was against me, as I was against myself. Just promoting that to the outside world was just a reflection of me. And this is the go ahead.
I have to believe when you were much younger, you were a lot brighter than you ever recognized, and you just never chased or followed that path.
Yeah.
You took the path of least resistance.
Yes. Yes. That's from the due diligence of the environment reinstalling in me that I was never good enough. And it took the realization of losing everything to realize I had everything. And
Right.
and the motivation and inspiration that I don't badger it, I don't belittle it, believe me. But if you set a constant intention of always being in a good mood through motivation and or inspiration, you're going to change your belief system. And that picture you see in the mirror every day is going to start to smile because your reflection of yourself is going to get better from that. And I'm living proof of a person who was living, as a bottom feeder, had all the gifts, had everything, because we're all blessed with so much in life. It's our environment around us. I'm not blaming it, but it's our environment around us that installs our belief system about ourselves from other people's perspectives. And I listen to that like a sponge. And we're all kind of credulous, I guess, listening to people like that. And I figured I'd fight against it. You really can't fight against the world because you're fighting against yourself. You're ultimately gonna self-sabotage yourself. And these are the realizations that I love bringing on programs like this and my program, because it helps people realize we're all the same. We're every friggin' one of us. We're all the same. We're just brought up in different ways, but we all have good intentions and gifts to give to life.
Well, remember what our forefathers said: pursuit of happiness.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was the preamble. My preamble every day. I write it. I write that, and with victory in mind. Yes, and to me, failure is just it's redirection. It's not rejection. It's just redirection. But you try telling a 20s and 30-year-old guy with 3 kids in tow, and the mortgages and investment properties and all these. I put way too much pressure on myself back then to try to be the so-called super dad, and that overwhelmment, I lost track of myself. Ultimately had to give everything back, lost everything tenfold. And honestly, I can say it was the best thing in the world for me because it brought out the person I've always wanted to be. That's what people are going through now. There's a lot of people that are starting over, revamping their lives. And you and I talked about this in the pre-show, through unforeseen circumstances, not by their own sometimes, maybe a chosen one. But I can tell you from my perspective, being 45 and not having a pot to piss in, that's a hard thing to take. But it was a great lesson, and that's when I started realizing what lesson am I learning? Until I got up one day and I was shaving, I said, I'm the lesson. And for people to realize you are your own science project, you guide the ship. Depending on what harbor you want to sail into each day. And I just kept choosing a more beautiful place to look at, and most importantly, myself on the inside.
Well, right. And Mayo doctors marveled at my ability to survive back in the day. But see, that's what I had been prepared for, to fight that battle. Always prepared to fight that battle.
Oh, yeah.
And, after the fact, they asked me, and I said, that's all I could do.
Oh.
So that's what I focused on.
Good point. It's all you can do. I mean, what are you going to succumb? Right. What are you're going to, we're not brought here to succumb. We're brought here to bring out the best self, however it may be in whatever circumstances. Yeah, I feel your pain. I definitely feel your pain on that one. And I was driving back from my mom's on Tuesday. I was doing her shopping, coming back, and I left a little bit late. So guess what? Traffic starts backing up. I get off.
Right.
I get off at an exit, and I had to go the same route that I used to walk every day, the 15 miles looking for work. And it was a great. I just smiled. I'm holding the steering wheel. I'm just holding the steering wheel. I hope everybody can get to that point and revisit where they've been at their lowest point, because you can say, "Damn, look how far you've come." And I wasn't patting myself on the back. I wasn't doing that. I was saying, "Wow, it is true that you can turn around." And once you see your own results, that alone will boost up the old dopamine. That will make you feel good. So whatever you're going through, you're going to get through. And people have to realize that. But it's your constant choice about it. And most importantly, your belief about yourself that you got to work on to make sure you attain it.
Well, absolutely. And you earned the right to do some self-reflection on that drive, on that detour.
It was great.
Yeah,
I freaking loved it. You know, I wish everybody can do that. I mean, you go back to memory lane of failure. It's just a way, it's a great perspective, because what you can look at is not what you've done. Whatever I've done, I don't care about that. But it's a fact that all the teachings and all the time and all the effort in reading and studying, it is true that thoughts do become things. And there's a science behind it. There's a spiritual side to us. There's a metaphysical side to us. There's an aura about us. When you start monitoring all these different things about us, you realize the outside world has nothing to do with your life. It's you that are responsible for monitoring that energy and that attainment of what you want every single day.
Well, you're right, Jerry. And, you know, we're all faced with trials. You know, I don't like to say tribulations because I'm not too sure what tribulations means. And who sits in judgment of us is us.
Yes. Yeah, we are our own worst friggin' enemy. I mean, seriously.
Well, no.
Go ahead.
But that's who we have to serve. We have to serve ourselves. And you know, people ask me how, but maybe that's the easiest path for me.
Yeah, but you bring up a great point. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Well, no, it's, you know, I don't sit around waiting for the outside world to judge, you know, my perceptions or my path. I'm doing self-assessment all the time, every day, back to the face in the mirror, you know, as you do in your journaling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, but you bring up a great point, self-assessment. I mean, people like you and I, years ago, what do we call it? Selfish. What do you mean you're focusing on yourself? Yeah, meatball, because that's who's running the show here. A better me can give more. A better me can explore more and to share more with the world on a bigger level. It's not being selfish. So selfish is not how you think. It's telling others how to think. And when people realize that, they realize we've been duped in a lot of ways to be servants to other people's feelings, thoughts, and beliefs. When you grasp hold of that for yourself, in a self-assessment, that's when you start moving forward in life in a better way. You start feeling better about yourself.
You do, and you feel better about your life, and you feel your reflections they're more appealing, and you're not focusing on the bad that you never could do anything about, but celebrating where you've come.
Oh God, yeah.
Or what you've accomplished.
I was doing that the other day, but in a good way. I wish that upon everybody. I wish everybody can go back to their greatest loss and look at where they are now. I mean, in a way, just to say, look, you did it, man. Just keep on going. And that's the message for everybody here. Keep going. If you're going through hell, as Winston Churchill said, keep going. You're going to get through it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You keep pushing forward. You keep, just edify yourself. I mean, about yourself. Find out your triggering points. Find out what has happened to you on the inside. How do you see yourself? Because how you see yourself and what you bring to yourself. We've gone over this a million billion times. It's great because it'll repetitiously help you realize you're the source. Every bit of what's going on in your life is you are the power plant. You are the cell tower. You are attracting everything, every situation to you and from you.
You know, if Carl Sagan was still alive, Jerry, we'd get him on here and you and he could go into the billions and billions and billions and billions.
Billions, indeed. Indeed so. Good show, brother. Good show.
But It was, and I think you brought a lot to the table tonight. So, everybody, this has been Just In Case and Jerry Maldonado, the man, the myth, the legend, bringing you meatball perspectives. Thanks for joining us. Remember, additional information and links are provided in this video's read more. Today's the day to subscribe to this channel. Please learn more about Jerry Maldonado when time permits.